California has long been known for its progressive politics.
But tonight, senior investigative reporter Begat Jaban explains how one polarizing issue is pushing the limits of free speech on school campuses and workplaces in the Bay Area and beyond.
For the first time in years, English teacher Erin Donovan doesn't have any students to teach. She was fired, not for what she taught, but what she wore.
A Free Palestine pin.
How soon after putting it on did the school ask you to take it off?
I got an email the very next day.
Her principal at Bishop O'Dowd High School in Oakland told her some students expressed discomfort about the pin and its negative impact on their ability to learn. Donovan says the year-long war in Gaza and the large-scale humanitarian crisis that followed pushed her to put on the pin as a sign of solidarity with students who may be grieving. But some argue the movement to free Palestine from Israeli occupation has also been associated with calls to use violence against Israel.
If the pin made some of your students feel uncomfortable, why not just take it off?
I take issue with the idea that classrooms are supposed to be places where we feel comfortable. If you are learning something, you are feeling discomfort. It's hard, it's vulnerable.
Donovan says the school repeatedly warned her she'd be let go unless she stopped wearing the pin, but she refused to take it off.
It feels weird to even just be talking about being fired. There are teachers in Palestine who have lost their jobs, not because of a pin, but because their schools no longer exist, because their students are dead.
Donovan says the school has a history of embracing political causes, like the Black Lives Matter movement, and even regularly praying for those in Ukraine.
All of these things are deeply political, and so it's problematic when there's no really clear policy that says, well, what is political and what is social justice, and how are we deciding what things are okay to take a stand on and what aren't.
It was just over a year ago when Hamas attacked a music festival and surrounding villages in Israel, killing some 1,200 people and kidnapping more than 250 others, according to the U.S. State Department. Palestine's health ministry says Israel's ensuing military response has killed more than 40,000 and has decimated much of Gaza. The conflict abroad continues to test the boundaries of free speech here at home. Earlier this year, pro-Palestinian demonstrations and encampments blanketed college campuses, at times leading to clashes with law enforcement.
It is not tolerated and it is not acceptable.
Top university leaders were summoned to appear before Congress, chastised over their handling, with some ultimately forced to resign.
Today, schools and workplaces are still grappling with how to let students and employees express themselves without creating an environment that leaves others feeling offended or even unsafe.
To me, it's sort of contrary to the educational mission of the institution to say certain political viewpoints are out of bounds.
David Sloss is a constitutional law professor at Santa Clara University and has been tracking the impact of those widespread student protests. Some institutions have since adopted new rules to limit protesting by banning encampments and restricting campus access to only students and staff.
From the university's standpoint, they're trying to minimize risk of disruption, but maybe that goes too far.
Public universities and even private institutions that receive public funding are largely prohibited from infringing on a person's right to free speech. But private employers, like your own office, have much more leeway to make their own rules about what's allowed and what isn't in the workplace. Both pro-Israel and pro-Palestine organizations report spikes in complaints from U.S. employees feeling uncomfortable at work because of their stance on the Gaza war.
They are working in fear. They are looking for new jobs. And in some cases, they're facing termination.
Zahra Billoo is with CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations.
Each community wants to live in peace.
And Tyler Gregory is with the Jewish Community Relations Council. The two groups have differing views on the war, but agree on the importance of having a respectful dialogue. If all sides can't be equally heard, then they both concede it might be best to restrict all political speech in hopes of avoiding the kind of controversy involving Erin Donovan and Bishop O'Dowd High.
One way this school and any other employer can simplify things is by saying we won't allow any pins. Right? We wouldn't be having this conversation if they hadn't been inconsistent.
What we need to do is create an environment where those folks who are dealing with active trauma right now feel safe.
Bishop O'Dowd High School didn't respond to our interview request, but in emails to Aaron Donovan, the principal said, as a private school, it has significant discretion to regulate employee speech, adding, teachers have repeatedly been advised to maintain neutrality on controversial issues as professionals with positional power over young students.
Why shouldn't you be expected to hold a neutral position when it comes to polarizing issues?
There's a difference between students knowing that you have an opinion and that you have a stand on something and you explicitly teaching them that. And I wasn't explicitly teaching anything.
It's hypocritical, she says, and confusing that as an openly queer woman teaching at a private Catholic school, what ultimately got her fired was her support of a war-torn country more than half a world away. With the investigative unit, I'm Bigad Shaban.